Percival Lowell was an American astronomer, writer, and scientific thinker who played an important role in the study of planets at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. He was born on March 13, 1855. Lowell is remembered today for his strong interest in Mars, for his belief that intelligent life might exist on other planets, and for founding an observatory that later helped change our understanding of the solar system. His work shows how curiosity, imagination, and careful observation can shape science, even when some ideas later prove to be incorrect. From an early stage in his career, Lowell was deeply interested in science and learning. He believed that the universe should be studied not only with instruments, but also with bold questions. At a time when astronomy was becoming more precise and mathematical, Lowell brought strong enthusiasm and public attention to the study of planets. He wanted ordinary people to care about astronomy, and he wrote many books and articles in clear language, so that non-scientists could understand complex ideas. Lowell became especially famous for his studies of Mars. In the late 19th century, telescopes were improving, but they were still limited. When astronomers looked at Mars through these instruments, they could see light and dark areas on the planet's surface. Some observers reported seeing thin straight lines crossing the planet. These lines were called canals, a word that suggested artificial structures. Lowell became convinced that these canals were real, and that they were built by intelligent beings living on Mars. Lowell believed that Mars was an old planet that was slowly drying out. He thought that the polar ice caps on Mars melted during warmer seasons and released water. According to his theory, the Martians built a large system of canals to move this water from the poles to dry areas near the equator. He imagined a highly advanced civilization working together to survive on a dying world. To Lowell, this idea was logical and even hopeful, because it suggested that intelligent life could exist beyond Earth. To study Mars more closely, Lowell decided that he needed better observing conditions. He believed that high altitude, dry air, and clear skies were essential for good astronomical work. For this reason, he chose a site in Flagstaff, Arizona, and in 1894, he founded the Lowell Observatory. This observatory became the center of his research and the place where many of his most important observations were made. At the time, building a private observatory was unusual, but Lowell was determined to follow his vision. At Lowell Observatory, Percival Lowell spent many years observing Mars, Venus, and other planets. He carefully drew what he saw through the telescope and published detailed maps of Mars that showed the canal system as he understood it. He also wrote books explaining his ideas, including works such as Mars and its Canals. These books were widely read and translated into other languages. They made Lowell one of the most famous astronomers of his time. However, not all scientists agreed with Lowell's conclusions. Many astronomers argued that the canals were not real physical structures, but optical illusions caused by the human eye trying to connect unclear details. As telescopes improved, other observers were unable to see the same straight lines that Lowell described. Over time, the scientific community became more skeptical of his ideas about intelligent life on Mars. Despite this criticism, Lowell continued to defend his theories with confidence and energy. Lowell's work was important even when it was wrong, because it pushed astronomy forward and encouraged debate. His ideas forced scientists to think more carefully about observation, perception, and evidence. Later studies of Mars, especially with spacecraft in the 20th century, showed that the planet does not have canals or advanced civilizations. Instead, Mars is a cold and dry world with mountains, valleys, and signs that water once flowed there long ago. Even so, Lowell's passion helped keep Mars at the center of scientific and public interest for many years. In addition to Mars, Lowell studied other planets. He believed that Venus was also inhabited and that its thick clouds hid a living world beneath. Today, scientists know that Venus has an extremely hot and hostile environment, but at the time, much less was known. Lowell's willingness to imagine life beyond Earth made him one of the early thinkers in what we now call astrobiology, the study of life in the universe. One of Lowell's most lasting scientific contributions was his search for a planet beyond Neptune. At the beginning of the 20th century, astronomers noticed that the orbits of Uranus and Neptune did not exactly match predictions. Lowell believed that another planet, which he called Planet X, was affecting their motion with its gravity. He began a careful search for this unknown planet, using mathematical calculations to predict where it might be found. Lowell himself did not discover Planet X, but his efforts created the conditions for success. After his death, the search continued at Lowell Observatory. In 1930, astronomer Clyde Tombaugh discovered a new object beyond Neptune. This object was named Pluto. Although Pluto turned out to be smaller than Lowell had expected and was later reclassified as a dwarf planet, its discovery was a major event in astronomy. It confirmed that Lowell's idea of searching for another distant object had been worthwhile. Lowell was also a strong believer in the importance of writing and communication in science. He thought that scientific ideas should not be kept only for experts. Throughout his career, he wrote many books and essays aimed at the general public. He used clear examples and strong images to explain what he believed about the universe. While some scientists criticized him for being too imaginative, many readers found his work inspiring and easy to understand. His writing had a strong influence on popular culture. The idea of canals on Mars helped shape early science fiction stories about Martians and other worlds. Writers and artists used Lowell's descriptions as inspiration for stories about advanced alien civilizations. Even though the science behind these ideas was later disproven, the cultural impact remained strong for decades. Percival Lowell's scientific style was shaped by his belief that observation and theory should work together. He trusted what he saw through the telescope and believed that careful observation could reveal deep truths about the universe. At the same time, he was willing to create large theories to explain these observations. This combination made him a controversial figure, admired by some and criticized by others. Lowell worked during a time when astronomy was changing rapidly. Photography, spectroscopy, and better telescopes were transforming how scientists studied space. Lowell supported these new methods but also relied heavily on visual observation. This placed him between older and newer scientific traditions. His career shows how science is influenced not only by technology, but also by human interpretation and belief. Today, historians of science see Percival Lowell as an important and complex figure. He was not always correct, but he was sincere and deeply committed to understanding the universe. His mistakes teach valuable lessons about the limits of observation and the need for strong evidence. His successes show how determination and vision can leave a lasting mark on scientific institutions. Lowell Observatory remains active today and continues to contribute to astronomical research. Modern scientists there study galaxies, stars, and planets using advanced instruments. In this way, Lowell's dream of exploring the universe lives on, even though the specific ideas he held have changed. Percival Lowell died in 1916, but his influence did not end with his death. The discovery of Pluto, the continued work of his observatory, and the lasting interest in Mars all connect back to his efforts. His life shows how science is a human activity shaped by imagination, debate, and a desire to understand the unknown. In summary, Percival Lowell, born on March 13, 1855, was a key figure in the history of astronomy. He helped bring planetary science to the public, encouraged the search for life beyond Earth, and founded an observatory that made major discoveries. Even though some of his ideas were later proven wrong, his work remains important. He reminds us that asking big questions is a vital part of scientific progress, and that curiosity can inspire generations to look up at the stars and wonder.